He's the beloved star of Star Trek, a recent space traveler, and a living legend. And now William Shatner is onto his next big project, the release of his new book entitled Boldly Go, Reflections on a Life of Awe and Wonder. In a collection of fascinating and inspiring essays, Shatner reflects on the key events from his 91 years of life, focusing on our fragile bond with nature and celebrating the joy that comes from always being open to learning new things. And William Shatner joins us now. It's great to have you on the show. Hello.
That sounded really good. I'd like to be worthy of that introduction.
You are.
And you are.
And you are.
So, Mr. Shatner, when I read some headlines
it would be so much better. A Morning Joe deserves Bill, I think.
Oh, that's big. That's very big. All right, Bill. We'll say Bill. I read a headline about a year ago that said William Shatner's 90, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a misprint. Maybe 75. Maybe 78.
Or reversed 60. Yeah.
60 exactly. And so, but I read a quote, and I loved it so much that I wrote it down of something that you had said upon turning 90, a realization, and you said, nothing matters in the end. What goes up must come down. And Meek and I saw that quote, and we were like, my God, if we had only known that earlier in our life, it really does put things into perspective and really does frame out your book, where you can stop and look at the wonders of the world and just say, wow.
Saying, wow, that's the critical importance. So, Boldly Go is a thought, and I've tried to dramatize it with elements in my own life, about how the universe is out there and purportedly taking care of you, and if you can vibrate in conjunction with the universe by any means, prayer, meditation, blow the Tibetan horn, say Om, whatever, or being aware of our connection with that vibrating universe, and which is also the vibrating earth and the beauty of earth. If you can connect with that, you're living the life I think you're supposed to live.
So I love the different chapters, what you focus on. By the way, you have so much in common with my family lines. Your grandparents are immigrants from Eastern Europe. You were in Montreal. You went to McGill. My mother, immigrants from Eastern Europe. My dad went to McGill. And my mother had an incredible affinity for nature. I remember once her taking the time to stop in the middle of a conversation and to pick up a spider and bring it out the back door of the house and set it free. You have a chapter that says, listen to the animals. Tell us about it.
Well, everything is trying to communicate with themselves and with the things around them, and they're speaking a language that sometimes we get a glimmer of understanding. We hear the fish talk, and the whales sing, and the dogs looks and bark, and the horse giving you nonverbal signals. The earth is communicating all the time. We've just begun to understand, for example, how trees communicate with each other. Not only with pheromones being drifted downwind and saying, the bugs are attacking me, make your sap a little more acidic, or whatever it is they do. But they're also, now we've discovered, sending electrochemical signals along the mycelium of the fungi. So all of a sudden, electrochemical signals between trees are the same thing as electrochemical signals in our dendrites in our head. How connected to a tree are we? I mean, it beggars the imagination of the extent to which these 5 billion years of growth, of evolution, has brought about this extraordinary beauty and fertility on Earth, that we are so arrogant that we've begun to destroy it.
Given the age that we live in, the culture is so skewed to people who are much younger than you or I, what have you learned about yourself, your life, and living your life over the past decade since you were 80 years of age?
It all boils down to commonality. I mean, we hear these things. It's over so quickly. It is. It's over so quickly. It's over so quickly when you subtract the years of growing up and then your fragility when you're older. I mean, you got what, 40, 50 years of life, and then you die, and essentially it's meaningless. So you've got to make those few years count, not only for your happiness and your awareness, because one of the things I saw coming down from space was how insignificant this planet is, how insignificant we are on this planet, and yet we have awareness. We are aware of the awe and wonder. We're aware of our insignificance. I think that's the only entity on Earth that thinks that way. I think that. Of course, we don't know exactly. But and we're 5 billion years in evolution in this solar system. But the universe is 3 times, as far as we know, 3 times that old. So other things were happening. What was happening during all that time where other worlds evolved and became more intelligent, and our brains are based on survival, so we're this mixture of good and bad, but can you purify over more years? There's so many beautiful burning questions in our life that far exceed the pettiness of all the things we see around us.
You know, it's so fascinating. You talk about how insignificant we are, not only as a planet, but also as individuals. That's something that frightens you as a teenager. That would frighten me as a teenager, going, oh my God, I'm so small. I'm like dust. And yet, there's something extraordinarily liberating about that. Philosophers have talked about this for centuries, that when you recognize your place, when you recognize the insignificance, when you look at nature and even look at the earth, as you had an extraordinary opportunity to do, through humility, that is liberating. Talk about that, if you will.
Well, that's the perfect word. If we were just even less arrogant about we are the keepers of nature. We're not. We're part of this ongoing thing. When you think of the 5 billion years of evolution, and as we speak, things are going extinct. Beautiful things that we've never seen. Insects. I drove here in Los Angeles up and down the San Joaquin Valley recently, making a trip up to San Francisco and back, and I had one insect splat on my windshield. It's supposed to be, you can't drive with all the insects that will meet their death on your windshield. One. We're killing everything. And through our arrogance, if we had a thimble full of humility about our place in nature and our place with other human, every other part of our endeavor is meaningless when we have an existential threat by our lack of humility.
So, Bill, it was just about a year ago, your trip to space, and you talk about the beauty of it and being overwhelmed by it, but you also are struck by a word you used a few minutes ago, grief. Tell us why that dichotomy, where you were moved by both the beauty and by the grief you felt by that trip.
I've been an ecologist since the book Silent Spring. And that was 50, 60 years ago. And I was terribly moved by it and warned by it and was talking about it even then. And of course, there were all kinds of voices saying, it's not happening. The grief I felt was the beauty that I know the earth is and has and expresses itself all the time. A tree is talking to you when it moves its leaves. Dogs bark and tell you things that are meaningful. Doctor just recently said, I was watching my dog looking at the sink, looking at the sink. And what is he looking at? He's telling me he's thirsty. And the dog speaking, how do lions plan an attack on an animal they need to kill to eat? How do they do it without language? There's this whole communication going on in nature that we're so unaware of, and it's dying. It's in danger of being extinct. That's the grief.
You know, the last chapter of the book is entitled When I'm Gone, and you write, quote, "I'm blessed to know that some people will miss me when I'm gone. But more and more, I think about what I will miss. I love life, every precious moment of it. I will miss it. I will miss the sun in the sky. I will miss voraciously tearing through the pages of a new book. I will even miss the hideous Los Angeles traffic because it's part of the miracle of this ineffable world of ours. It's not a great part, but it's all part of a rich tapestry, isn't it?" Lovely.
Let me ask you about that, because Mika noticed, and I certainly noticed, her mom just passed away. She had Parkinson's, and she was 90 years old. But every morning she woke up, and she would hand us books, whether it was a Steve Jobs biography or a Bob Dylan biography. She kept doing her artwork. And Mika said one of the things that filled her with awe is the fact that her mom, till the very end, she was not ready to die. She was not ready to go. She wanted to be here. And that's not something that made Mika sad. That's something that made her celebrate the fact that her mother remained so curious and, like you, able to say wow after seeing all the things that you've seen. Talk about where that comes from, that curiosity that still springs from you at 91.
I was recently given an award for lifetime achievement. I said, well, what does that mean, a lifetime achievement award? Just by living, just by breathing and talking to each other like we are now. I mean, that's an award right there. I mean, what is a lifetime achievement? What have I achieved in life that deserves an award that the person I meet on the street shouldn't have? And if there was any, and this is what I said in accepting the award, if there was anything that I was, I don't even want to use the word proud, but like a little self-satisfaction, was this inner child that we have. It purportedly starts around the age of 3 and goes to 7, 8, 9, and then life begins to dull that curiosity that, oh, what's that, Mom? And why is the sky blue? And I just stumbled and I got to walk fast. Everything about a child is new and fresh and open. If you can cultivate that inner child, don't let it get sour and calloused. If you can sustain the oh wow factor around everything. Right now, I don't know whether you can hear it, my dog is barking. His instinct is, I'm protecting this property. It's his job. He's there proudly protecting this thing from, you don't know, coyotes you never know what a coyote will do. It's a language. It's going on all around us. And to miss it, even when she was trembling and weak, she could hear the sounds of her daughter saying, I love you. And I mean, love. At the last moment in this documentary on this trip I took into space, Jeff Bezos hugs me, and I've been going on about we're nothing, but we're aware, and that awareness is our gift. And then he hugged me. And I thought, that's the last key. Love. Let us not forget that your mother just was empowered by your love for her. It was everything. Her daughter loved her. What does that mean? You spent time, you sacrificed, you were everything to her. That made her life viable. Now that I've reduced you to tears.
Oh, my Lord. Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been so great having you here. And your dog is actually trying to tell you, you've spoken with us long enough.
No.
Now pay attention to him. So.
The new book is entitled Boldly Go, Reflections on a Life of Awe and Wonder. William Shatner, or Bill, thank you very, very much for being on, and thank you for your kind words.
It was so
Thank
wonderful.
you. I
being
admire
with you.
your program. I admire your program very much. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much. And we'll be right back with much more Morning Joe.
And you go!